It's probably something you dread. You look up in your rearview mirror and see flashing lights behind you. You're getting pulled over. Maybe you're running a bit behind and drove a little faster than you should have. Maybe you've got a brake lamp out and didn't know it. Whatever the reason, getting stopped by the police probably isn't your favorite activity. But we want to give you some pointers in this episode of Tom's Traffic Tips to make the interaction with the police a pleasant and safe one for both you and the officer. Hey there folks, I'm Sergeant Tom Sloan with the Round Rock Police Department Traffic Unit. Let's go through the mechanics of a traffic stop, shall we? For starters, make sure you pull to the right side of the road when you're being pulled over by the police. Texas Transportation Code 545-156 requires it. Vehicles should immediately drive parallel to and as close as possible to the right-hand curb of the roadway, clear of any intersection, and then stop. Pulling and stopping to the left exposes you and other drivers to potential collisions, not to mention making it unsafe for the officer when he approaches your vehicle to speak with you. Now, sometimes the officer might approach your vehicle and make contact with you from the passenger side. Officers do this on heavily traveled roadways where there's a chance the officer could get struck by a passing vehicle. If there's a nearby parking lot on the right, go ahead and pull into it. Now, the emphasis is on nearby. Don't drive a half a mile looking for a parking lot entrance. Once stopped in a safe location, roll all your windows down if possible. Turn your vehicle off and remain seated with your hands on the steering wheel. Avoid moving around and reaching for anything. We ask you to do this as safety precautions. Now keep in mind, officers sometimes stop very violent subjects who intend on hurting them. Chances are the officer doesn't know you or your intent. Windows down allows the officer to see the vehicle is clear of threats. Remaining seated still and not reaching for anything reduces the officer's concern that you're possibly attempting to access a weapon. So, it's safer for both you and the officer to go through these steps to reduce concerns. If stopped at night, we recommend you turn on your interior light. The officer will then make contact with you at the window, introduce themselves, and request you provide your driver's license and proof of vehicle insurance. Tell the officer where these items are located before accessing them. If your information is in a console or glove box that also contains a weapon, be sure to tell the officer this before moving forward. The officer might request you exit the vehicle to distance you from the weapon. Now, you're required by law to have a Texas driver's license and have it in your possession when driving. Many drivers now keep their proof of insurance on their phones. If that's the case for you, simply tell the officer your insurance is on your phone and you need to access it. After collecting your information, the officer will briefly return to his or her vehicle to verify your information. While waiting, be sure to remain seated, keep your hands on the steering wheel, and avoid moving around. The officer will then return and hand back your information. You might be asked additional questions, such as your place of employment and phone number if the officer issues you a ticket. This is administrative, so the court can have a way of contacting you in the event they need to notify you of something. The officer will request your signature and explain the ticket to you, where the court's located, and how to proceed with your options. Your signature is not a admission of guilt. It's merely a promise to make contact with the court on a later date. Officers make traffic stops to educate the public on safe driving practices and to stop dangerous driving behaviors. Follow these steps when you're stopped, and your experience should be a safe and pleasant one. Well folks, that's it for this week's episode of Tom's Traffic Tips. Until next time, drive safe.